Hello and welcome to this week's Cats Whiskers TV. We'll be having the news in a second, but after that Paul will be joining me to talk about the Hull game and Aaron will be joining me to talk about the Sheffield game. And we'll look at a few of the other games that took place in the Elite League last week. We've got a few hot topics from you, thanks once again, and then we'll be looking ahead to the big Belfast weekend. But first, as ever, it's Paul Baum with the news.
I'm Paul Baum and this is the CWTV News. Corey misunderstood when the new player's agent said he was an animal. Russian police released picture of woman connected with theft of Brent Pope's hat. At times it was men versus boys in Hull on Sunday night. And that was the news.
Paul with the news there. Aaron joins me now to talk about Panthers against Sheffield from Saturday. Probably one of the best performances of the season.
Yeah, I mean, for those games you just never know what you're going to get, do you really, to be honest, because the rivalry and all that. But I was very pleased, actually. I thought, like you say, one of the best games that we've seen this season. We came out, attacked, had grit, you know, finished our checks and looked, you know, like we really wanted it. So it was a very pleasing sight, first of all.
However good we were, I think Sheffield were as poor. I was actually quite disappointed with them because they just weren't in the game. Probably for the first 2 minutes where I think they had a couple of really good chances, and then after that they just never really shown themselves in the game at all. No, it didn't really look like they had any fire in the belly, really, did it? So, to be honest, which, you know, is very disappointing from a Steeler point of view, but look, from our point of view, we can only beat what's put in front of us. And, you know, I think even if Sheffield, you know, did have a bit of fire in the belly, I think, you know, we, like I said previously, we looked like we were really up for that game. The result might have been different if Sheffield did turn up, but, you know, look, let's take the positives from a Panthers point of view. You know, we played a good hockey game on Saturday night. I think a word as well for Steve Lee, considering he'd been out for 6 weeks. Before that, this was his first game back, and I thought he was absolutely immense on Saturday night. Yeah, big player for us, you know, who's been missed for 6 weeks, like you say. Look, when you lose a Brit, it's hard to replace, and, you know, Steve Lee's been a very good player for us for many years now, and he's really starting to you know, come to the forefront of the British, you know, defence team, if you like. I know from what people have been saying, he's been dying to get back on the ice as well, sick of riding the bike, as they say. And look, you know, a team with Stevie Lee in it is going to be a stronger team than without a Stevie Lee in there. So let's just hope that for the remainder of the season he can keep fit and, you know, be on the blue line for us. Some other great performances from Panthers. I'm thinking Kowalski getting the man of the match was an excellent performance, made some excellent saves. Also, I think Peter Callis was sensational on Saturday night. Well, I mean, for me, K-Wall deserved a shutout. You know, he really did. I mean, what can you say about K-Wall that nobody's ever said before? But, you know, in a game like that, he can win you points. And look, you know, he's been out for a long time, and he's, you know, it takes a couple of games to get the rust off yourself. But an immense performance. Callis, you know, he's a quality import. I think, you know, many people will agree with that. So Callis puts a shift in every time he plays. You know, yes, he is an exceptional ice hockey player, which I think we will possibly struggle to keep hold of. But I think as a team, you know, everyone, and it goes back to what Boxhill said on last week's show. You know, everybody turned up, gave their all, everybody finished a check, and, you know, that makes a big difference because it gets the crowd involved, and, you know, it shows the rest of your teammates that, come on, we're up for this. So as good as
K-Wall and Callis were, I think everybody, you know, on the roster put in a shift and deserves, you know, credit.
I think a big turning point in the match, well, not exactly a turning point, but I think what stamped our victory was where Sheffield, all over the goal, hit the post. Matt Francis and Rob Lakovic break, and Lakovic scores an absolute peach of a goal to make it 4-0.
Well, you know, for us, you know, Lacko and Franny on that line, and even, you know, on the penalty kill, you know, there's so much speed there, and yes, it could have been so different seconds earlier, but what Franny and Lacko give you is pace, is speed, and as quickly as something can happen down like, you know, our defensive area, we can go straight up to the opposition zone, and with those two they can finish. And you know that they've been potent for us this season, but you know, quality goal from Lacko, and you know, I think Doyle would probably want maybe a couple back over the night.
He was well screened though. I think for the first two, very well screened. He didn't see them till they'd gone past him. But there's not a lot a netminder can do about those in that position.
No, and I think, you know, plenty of people have said this about netminders, is that, you know, if you can score early in the first period, you get, and there was a lot of scrambles by his net, you know, and that can only add pressure onto him. But you know, quality finishing from Panthers, and we were lethal at times, and that's what you have to do in those games. You have to score when you're on top, and that's what we did Saturday.
Yeah. And a near 7,000 crowd, most of which was going home happy.
Yeah, well, I was actually quite surprised that I thought there'd be more Sheffield fans than there were actually. But, you know, with the results that had happened against us, you know, at Christmas time, and you know, I would have thought there would have been more there, but there seemed to be more Panthers fans in block 3, I think it is, than there was Sheffield fans.
Which
is
a few Panthers fans in the other two, in blocks 1 or 2 as well, which was quite surprising. But you know, it's an expensive time of year, so
well, exactly.
Yeah,
very true.
Very true. Okay, of course, on Sunday night, Panthers travelled to the most versatile arena in Hull. It was a 4-3 penalty shots loss. We managed to catch up with Hull coach Sylvain Cloutier straight after the game. Sylvain, you must be delighted with that win.
Yeah, it was a massive win, massive 2 points, especially anytime you have a chance to take something against a team like Nottingham. I mean, there's not too many times over the last 5 years I've been here we got to take points off Nottingham, and you know, we'll take them.
Your forwards have rightfully received a lot of plaudits this season for the way they played, but I think tonight it was your defence and netminder who won you the points.
Yeah, I mean, Boundsy you know, responded really well from our game against Fife, and he played really well in Belfast, gave us a chance to win, and tonight he did a great job. And our defensemen, yeah, you got to give them credit. They played as a 5-man unit, and young Chilcott did a great job for us. And no, I'm extremely happy. But our forwards are dangerous, and I told them, you know, you got to take care of the D side of the puck first, and you will get your chances. And yeah, they are dangerous. I went a different way this year to recruit a team, and I wanted to get some support for Jeremy Tendler, and you know, sometimes you get lucky, and when you recruit with a small budget, and I think we did this year.
How far can this team go? Because you know, we've said you're incredibly dangerous forward-wise. You've got players who score for fun. Can you win the playoffs?
Well, you know, it's hard. I mean, it's wide open. I mean, you look from 2nd place to 8th place, it's so tight. And Fife, too, is making a comeback right now. They're fighting back, and I think anyone can win the playoffs. I mean, it's whoever's going to be hot those 4 games, right? And, you know, Belfast, to me, are by far the best team. And if anyone's going to beat them, I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to beat them. You know, they're so far ahead in the league title, and the Challenge Cup, obviously Sheffield and Nottingham are going to battle each other, so whoever ends up playing them, I don't know, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to take a lot of luck and a lot of bounces.
Well, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for talking to us straight after the game.
Yeah, thank you.
Hull coach Sylvain Cloutier there, who was quite understandably delighted after the 2 points, and overall they deserved it.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I was relieved to get one, frankly, because I don't think we really deserved that. But yeah, you know, the whole, apart from the first period, I thought we were better. I thought we deserved to go in 2-1. We had a lot of pressure that we finally got to tell. I mean, I don't think they'll be very happy with the first goal in particular. I think they thought David Clark should have had a penalty for well, it was man on man.
I would say it was probably more interference on Clark than on the Hull guy. It's just the Hull guy just went over.
Exactly, yeah, and left Clark all alone, and he did what he does. But I mean, second and third period, I thought Hull were the better team.
We've said it before on this programme about how you've got to watch Hull going forward because their forwards are clinical. They've got some great forwards. I mean, Tendler showed again what quality is. I think Hull's third, his second, where he scored it from such an acute angle, was a beautiful finish. Ducey, we saw his quality with the penalty shot. They are a very, very dangerous side, but I think, as we said to Sylvain Cloutier in the interview there, their defence and Ben Bounds especially came to the fore last night.
I think you're right, and I think I said that early in the season that's the difference this year. They've always had the quality in the forwards, in people like Silverthorne, in people like Tendler, or they've got Ducey as well now. So it was excellent last night, and Luzon as well. But I think it's the defence and Bounds. I mean, Bounds has improved massively this year. I think it's gone leaps and bounds. I think I said the other week. Wasn't worth repeating, was it? Ding. But yeah, you know, that's what's made the difference this year. That they'd got us worked out for a lot of the game, and had always got people in the right places. And I think that in the end, I mean, I suppose we'll have to talk about our last goal at some point, and the actions of some Hull off-ice officials afterwards. But if anybody's looking, I've actually got his dummy. I picked it up on the way out. But you know, I thought we were lucky to come away with a point. Yeah,
and I'd agree. I thought we were incredibly lucky to get a point out of it. However, a point we did get. We'll move on to that third goal. Now, from our position, we were obviously situated in the away block. We stood at the back, pretty much in line with the goal line. It quite clearly, and video has since shown that quite clearly went in. Yeah. I think it was actually went in earlier than when Matt Ryan actually did score the goal.
If you watch the footage, you actually see Loins. You see Loins hit the puck, goes into the net, and comes straight back out. He celebrates, and that's when the scrum round the net starts. And it's actually Ryan sliding in, who was given the goal, and put it in again, and they then put the net off. But it was a definite goal, and I don't know why the goal judge got so upset, because he put his light on, because I saw him do it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, we don't know the full story. The story's going about that Tom Darnell, the referee, threw him out, that the goal judge walked of his own accord. I think whatever, if you're an off-ice official, you just can't be getting involved with that sort of thing. I mean, a goal judge is to say whether the puck crossed the line or didn't cross the line, and that's really it. And Tom Darnell was right on the spot, as you can see from the video. He's right behind the net. He sees that puck go in. So
I mean, Darnell's action are the very epitome of unequivocal. Aren't they? You know, he's right behind the net and he's pointing like that. You know, couldn't be any more emphatic. It was definitely a goal. So, and the goal judge, as I say, the goal judge put his light on. So, quite why he had his little tantrum after, I don't know.
Who knows? Of course, into overtime, didn't separate the sides, and then onto the penalty shots. Some quality penalty shots in that, and some not quite so good. But I think let's look at the positives. Peter Callis for us again, who had another fantastic game for the Panthers, with just a wait, and then fire into the net.
Yeah. It was, he just dribbling it all the way down, and we thought that was a quality penalty shot until we saw Ducey's where he just undressed Kowalski, sent him the wrong way, then immediately stopped, turned, and just put it into the practically empty net.
In fact, I think K-Wall's jock is still in the goal crease at Hull Arena.
I didn't pick that up on the way out.
One of the things I was seeing today, and I've seen after several Panthers losses this season, is like, they're not putting in the effort, and to be honest, nothing could be further from the truth. Okay, we're not winning games. We're second best in a lot of games, but
It's not for want of trying.
Not for want of trying, and there is absolutely no lack of effort in that team. I mean, we saw them last night. They were coming off, they were blowing hard, they was giving everything that they had, every shift, and it's just, and sometimes it just doesn't come off, and last night it didn't come off.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to look at, after we'd interviewed Cloutier, heading that way towards the Panthers bench, thinking we might get a couple of interviews, and saw one or two phases and thought, not tonight. And so you can tell they cared. The effort's there. It's just, you then got to start sort of asking why. Is it the players aren't good enough? Is it the opposition players are better? Is it the systems that are now, Corey Nielsen's systems have been sussed by other coaches? I don't know.
I think going on last night for me, Hull were the better side, and that's why they won the game, and deservedly so. Anyway, we'll move on to another of last night's games. Now Scott Ancliffe gives us his report on Steelers against the Blaze.
I'm Jonathan Boxall and you're watching Cats Whiskers TV.
So, Steelers vs Blaze Sunday evening, resulting in a 5-1 win for the Steelers against the Blaze at the Motorpoint Arena. Rewind it back 24 hours before, Steelers' embarrassing loss against the Panthers, a 5-2 loss, in a game where essentially it was a nothing game. The league's sewn up, pretty much looking in Belfast's favour. And the game against the Panthers, pretty much a dead rubber game, but it was an ideal opportunity for the Steelers to go out there and try and gain a psychological advantage ahead of Wednesday's game in the Challenge Cup against the Panthers again. We went out there, we were flat, we got dominated in every area. The Panthers outskated us, out-hit us, outshot us, outplayed us in every department. And it was just embarrassing. So 24 hours later, totally different performance from the Steelers. It was, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. Really good team performance from the Steelers against the Blaze, even though the Blaze weren't really at the races. First period, bit sloppy. Shea Guthrie gave the Blaze a lead. Short-handed goal on the breakaway. He went in 1-0. Nice goal on the breakaway pass Doyle. Steelers responded 2 minutes later with Stephen Meyer, one of his 4 goals on the night. Stephen Meyer in unbelievable form. Doug Christiansen decided to sit Jeff Legui out. Didn't play well the night before. He's only got 4 goals in his previous 18 games. So massive signal of intent from Doug Christiansen to let players know that they're not untouchable. So it was a bold move there, and it made the players step up. And Meyer got a nice goal, great tip from a Gord Baldwin point shot in the 14th minute. So going into the second period, a lot better period from the Steelers. First was a bit slow, a bit sloppy. Second, we absolutely dominated. Stephen Meyer on the 21st minute mark on the power play. Great goal, nice tip from a Chad Langley point shot. Then we got another third goal of the night, and third goal for Meyer, a straight hat-trick in the 29th minute. Linked up well with Stevie Gertson on a 2-on-1. Great pass from Gertson, and Meyer just buried it high past Zacharias for 3-0. Then Max Lacroix, recently returned from injury. Great player. Hopefully the goal will do him wonders for his confidence. Nice slap shot from Lacroix. Left wing, just blasted it over the blue line, went past Zacharias. And then Meyer got his 4th of the night on the power play again in the 49th minute. Nice goal from Meyer. Rebound from a Chris Blight shot come out. Meyer was sort of back post, kind of fell on his stomach and still managed to put the puck in the net past Zacharias. Also a couple of fights in the game as well, so a bit physical. Danny Mayers of all people dropping the gloves with Jerome Giudice. Bit of a strange one that. Wasn't 2 people I was expecting to see drop the gloves. Not a great fight, a couple of punches from, bit of a wrestling match, probably give that one a draw. And then another fight with Chris Blight on his home debut and young Stevie Chalmers. There was a hit behind the net. Max Lacroix checked, I forgot who it was, it might have been Wilson. Checked him from behind. People paired up. Chalmers paired up with Blight. And Chalmers offered Blight, so Blight was like, okay, let's do it. And I think Chalmers is regretting that one. Blight reined in a few blows, landed some nice uppercuts, so a good win for Blight there in that fight. So overall, much improved performance for the Steelers. Hopefully gain a bit of momentum going into the massive Challenge Cup game on Wednesday night against the Panthers.
We'll take a quick look at the rest of the results over the weekend. Of course, another 2 victories for Belfast, who are pretty much nailed on Elite League champions, I think, for this year. Although it does look like Fife gave them a bit of a game on Saturday night. Belfast coming away 6-4 victors. Any games you want to pick out, Aaron?
I just think game of the weekend for me is the game that took place last night, Brayhead against Edinburgh. I mean, fair play to the Capitals. They were there, well, seconds, weren't they, really? To be fair, and then Brayhead scored 5 on 3 with
5 on 3 short-handed, which I've only ever seen happen once down there. PC Druin, first season in the NIC, but very, very rare that happened.
40 seconds or something remaining as well.
48 seconds.
48 seconds, and then I mean, to lose it. I think it was on penalty shots as well. I mean, but fair play to the Caps. They put up a good fight. So that's the game and the result of the weekend for me.
And of course, that was Brayhead's second win of the weekend, which now sees them clear in second place. So, Paul, which one do you want to pick out?
Another Scottish game. I think Fife beating Dundee. Not a great weekend at all for Dundee, but Fife bouncing back.
Yeah, and of course Dundee, as you mentioned, 2 losses this weekend, with a loss to Cardiff, who've now had seven wins on the bounce. That's some performance that they're putting up. I mean, I think 2 weeks ago we were talking about how they could be dragged into not making the playoffs. It certainly doesn't look.
I said they would.
It certainly doesn't look that way now. So all that means that Belfast remain at the top as we have a look at the table. 20 points clear of Brayhead. I think mathematically they can win the title on Sunday night at the NIC, but that won't be known until the Cardiff-Sheffield game result. So it will be after the game, way after the game is finished.
You're saying that Belfast are 20 points clear. If Brayhead win the game in hand, that's only 18.
Yeah, I'm sure Belfast will be shaking to Brayhead breathing down the necks.
It just shows you, though, doesn't it? Between you go down to 2 and then second and fifth. They're changing every weekend, really, aren't they? Those positions. I mean, look at Dundee. Down to 5th place with a bad weekend. It's the playoff positions are going to go down to the last game, really.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think you can easily predict who's going to meet each other in the playoffs at all at the minute. I think if you look at between 2nd and 6th there, with only 6 points, I mean, I think any of those teams could finish in the runs-up spot.
Yeah, the also runs. It's as tight as it's been in years, but
look, even down at the bottom, Fife with 6 points out of the last 4 points out of the last 6 available to them. They're starting to claw back. They could make a real run for it at the end.
It starts, it gets late early, doesn't it? In this, as some American said, just to confuse people, that it's an 8-point gap. So that's 4 wins and then another point.
It's a couple of weekends.
I mean, to be fair, the thing about that though, it's Coventry's form. It's they are struggling. And the problem is now that you're going to go into games maybe, and you're going to think, are Coventry actually going to get a point out of that game? And for somebody like Fife, who I'm sure will have the bit between their teeth, will think we can close that gap. We get on a bit of a roll and we get a few wins, and Coventry are going to panic. Because they're having problems this season. So it'll be interesting.
You start spending your time looking over your shoulder. Exactly. You're not concentrating on what you've got to do yourself. Exactly. Then you get slipped further and further back.
Well, we will obviously keep an eye on this over the next few weeks.
Hi, I'm Rob Lakovich and you're watching Cats Whiskers TV.
We're going to take a look at some of the topics you've tweeted in for us to discuss. Once again, thank you very much for sending them in. We're going to start with a Clan fan, I'm assuming, with a Twitter name like Clantastic. He says, Panthers Steelers games, is the goose that laid the golden egg now a battery hen? Very, very interesting and deep question from the Clan fan there. I think I would make.
Are you saying they're not allowed to ask interesting and deep questions?
I will ignore that. What I'm saying, I think what he's trying to say there in a nutshell is, are there too many Panthers Steelers games?
So it's like in an eggshell.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Well, we are fast approaching apparently the 200th meeting in 20-something years.
And well, just to counter that, I had a quick look at the number of times that Forest and Derby, as big rivals, have met since 1870 something. They've met 83 times.
That's the argument in a nutshell, in an eggshell. You know, these things can't be as, well, I think we've said it before, they can't be as special as something like that. You know, we played them Saturday, we're playing them Wednesday, we'll play them again the week after.
Tuesday,
yeah,
and I think it's on Saturday.
Yeah, it's, and you just, you know, familiarity does breed contempt, and apparently, and that's what, you know, because there's no sense of occasion anymore. I mean, but you know, there are obviously those people who only ever go to Panthers Steelers games in Nottingham. But you know, you go in the NIC, you go in the gents' toilet. I wouldn't bother, you know, unless you actually needed to. But you look at the posters they've got up there advertising all the concerts. So you know, you can look and see the only Panthers games on there are Steelers games.
None of the others are on.
None of the others are on there. How does that make sense? Because they're the ones that are selling. Surely, if you want to increase your numbers, you put a midweek game against Edinburgh or somebody. No offence to Edinburgh, but you know, they're the ones with the games we get with the smaller crowds. Those midweek games. Surely those are the ones you want to be pushing.
True. But at the same time, still nearly 7,000 people in the building on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And
because of those people who only come to Panthers Steelers.
Yeah, you're right, but the people are still turning up. They're still coming to them. So the rivalry seems like it's in rude good health on those figures.
Well, I would say, you know, from a club point of view, I think when people don't turn up to Sheffield, you know, v Panthers, from both organisations' point of view, that's when you start to worry, really. For me, though, you know, we hear it's the biggest rivalry and stuff like that. Well, I struggle to see that on the ice sometimes, really. And you know, you look at some of the games against Coventry this season, and there seems to be a bit more hatred coming in that, and that's being shown on the ice. So, you know, I'm not a fan of Sheffield Steelers. You know, that's putting it politely, and I'm a fan. Is it replicated on the ice nowadays? I'm not so sure it is, because the problem is you've got two coaches that work together within GB. You play each other so many times that you get to work out their systems. You know, you cancel each other out pretty much. And it seems to me that there's a bit more, well, we can't you know, drop the gloves or anything, because the effect that will have on the, you know, we're going to lose somebody for 5 minutes or something. It's not in the sense of this is a rivalry. We are going to, and just very quickly to put it back to who was on our first line on Saturday night. You know, Henley, Big O, Salters. That's a statement of intent to me. That's how I took it as a fan. I thought, you know, bloody hell, you know, that's a statement there from Corey, which I was very pleased to see. So for me, you know, the rivalry will always be there. Is it getting a bit boring and stuff like that? Only time will tell.
I think the thing is, there's no spontaneity anymore in these games. There's no, you know, I remember years and years ago where Simon and Les Milley went centre ice, dropped the gloves and just beat the living bells out of each other just because, you know, and that was the sort of thing where, and I'm not advocating mindless violence at all, but that got everybody up. Everybody was into the game, and it was like,
I think until you get more teams in the Elite League as well, you're going to always have this problem because there's nobody else there to play.
I think it's just about the sides both teams have got at the moment, because all the arguments you're putting forward about why it's lost it, you could say the same thing about Cardiff. Sorry, not Cardiff, Coventry. We're playing them a lot. You know, there's always the element of, we don't want to lose a player because of what they can do to us. So those things are always there. I just think the two teams haven't got the players to spark anything at the moment.
Well, that leads on to another tweet from March Hitchcock, widely known as Hitchy, and he says, to celebrate 200 games versus Panthers, I demand a Legends series, home and away games featuring legends for both clubs for charity. And I think that's a cracking idea.
Will he stamp his feet if he doesn't get it?
Hitchy, let us know. See, Nick liked that one as well, as you probably heard from the lad. But yeah, I think that is a great idea. I mean, getting some of the old guys back, like your Plumbers and Cranston, Simon Hunt, Garth Premack, it'd be fantastic.
It would be great. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not going to spark the rivalry again.
No, it's not. But it might make.
How old are some of these people? So, what if you don't like young men fighting each other? A couple of 50-year-olds going at it.
I don't know. I'd like to see another tilt between Waggy and Nicky Chin. That'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, I would all like to see that. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, Aaron, you've obviously not been watching the Panthers as long as Paul and myself have, but you've obviously heard the stories of the old games around.
He's been with us.
Well, yeah, true. Would that be something that you would be interested in seeing? Or I mean, obviously it'd probably be played at half the pace, but I don't think there'd be any less niggle in there.
No, I mean, I think it's a good idea, to be fair, and you've got the added thing there of charity, which is always a good idea. I mean, look, I've watched YouTube many a time and seen the fight down here. God knows what, 2001?
Actually, in fact,
I believe
exactly 13 years ago.
Well, there you go. And the rivalry will always be there between the clubs and the fans. So, but I'm just putting a sensible head on it. And how difficult is it to get everybody, back? And we only have to maybe look at the David Clark testimonial, and I'm sure if you speak to Chris Ellis, how much hard work it is.
There was a lot
and Clark himself. For the fans, I think it's a great idea. Would I go to that? Of course I would. Because it's a game that Panthers could beat Steelers. And I think you get some of the old guys together, and I'm pretty sure that a few of them might drop the gloves. Because that's what it's for. There's more license there to entertain. I think that is what that game would be. It's like an exhibition, isn't it? And if you build that up right, you put on maybe a media package, so you get videos beforehand and stuff. You offer a decent package to the fans. I think you could easily sell out the NIC. I mean, I don't think you sell out the Motorpoint Arena, but that's
We'll move on to our next one. And this comes from monopix.com. Just before I read it out, we did have other tweets from Ray Monaghan and Ticket Ted, who talked about Scottish referees, which were perfectly valid comments, but I think as we don't see those games, and we don't see games in Scotland very often, it's quite unfair for us to really debate that one. We don't see it. But monopix.com, he says, referees, why do we have the same faces every week with no rotational travel? And I think that's a very, very interesting question, and I think he's got a point.
Yeah, why should the Scots suffer all the time, basically? Yeah, it is a very good point, but and in an ideal world, that's what you should have, because otherwise there's allegations of bias, allegations of people wearing the wrong sort of shirts that will come into made by the wrong people, that will come into effect, and they should be. But we don't live in an ideal world. These people aren't paid to do the job; they get expenses, and that's it. I mean, you've got somebody like Mike Hicks, lives in Cardiff. Is he going to fancy a trip to Dundee? So those sort of considerations, they've all got day jobs. Those sort of considerations have to come into effect. But yes, there should be more rotation, if only to give the Scots a rest from Cowan and Wilson.
I mean, yeah, it's a perfectly valid point. Why shouldn't the likes of Rab Cowan and Neil Wilson come down and referee a few more games here while Tom Darnell and Mike Hicks go in the other direction?
Money. Simple as, really, you know. And you need more referees for rotation. At the end of the day, you've got you've probably just about, and probably some weekends, not enough referees for the games going on. You know, that's why we've seen down here, I apologise, but I can't remember, you know, the linesman / referee's name, who's now refereed games.
Mona.
Is it? I can't.
O'Halloran.
Is it?
Kieran O'Halloran.
He's actually refereeing games now. So you know, there's either a process in there.
Surely that's a logistical step from linesman to referee.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Unless that's like a
logical step,
a progression, then that's fair enough. But you know, that could also be because somebody wasn't available that weekend. Maybe Darnell wasn't, or maybe Hicks wasn't. You know, like Paul says, they've all got day jobs. You know, they've got families. They do it out of their own will. You know, they don't get. It's not a paid job, and there's just not enough referees. You know, I'm sure in an ideal world, of course, it would be nice to have every referee a game down here and people ref up there, but we don't have an ideal world. It's not really possible to do that due to money and other reasons. So until there is investment in the refereeing system, and there's more referees come through the system and they're given training, and you know, maybe it does come to a part-time role, etc. I'm sorry, Scotland, but you're going to have to put up with who you have, and vice versa for us. You know, mainly we get Hicks and Darnell, and you know, we've had Dean Smith quite a bit this season as well. So
who was excellent on Saturday night as well.
It's slowly getting better, but you know, we've got to crawl before we can even, you know, walk at the moment, and we have to accept that the level that we are at.
And I suppose that this is something that probably only a referee or an official can probably answer. So if there's anyone watching, please, you know, get in touch. We'd love to talk to you. Let us know. Our final.
We're not paying expenses.
Yeah, we'll use Skype. Our final tweet is from Marty Powers, who some will know as Antoine Marie-Jean from Panthers Hockey Live. He says, assuming Jonathan Weaver retires in the summer, who replaces him? With the drama in Cardiff, could we tempt back Mark Richardson?
I'm interested in this because we had a conversation either a week or so ago. I know Weaves is getting on a bit, you know, and he won't mind me saying that. But where's all this assumption that he's retiring coming from?
Well, if we have a look,
I missed something.
If we have a look at the minutes he's putting in, and he's been putting in a fair few minutes, and he's also been ever present in the team. He's played every game for the team this season, touch wood, so far.
No, but he can go and break his hand, because every time he's broken his hand, he's won the Elite League Championship in that season.
Yeah, it's not going to happen this time. It's a bit late now. But let's assume he does retire, as Antoine says, which you know, I can't see him doing. I think he can
you
still.
Said he would.
I don't know.
Don't go back on your word now.
I don't know.
You said he was.
I
won't tell you the second part.
Yeah, but who could replace him? Because that is a lot of quality we've got to replace.
Nobody. You can't replace a Weaver. You cannot replace a Jonathan Weaver.
Okay. Who would come closest? Who would you like if that happens? If Jonathan Weaver does retire and leave, who would you like to see him replaced by, British wise?
I really wouldn't know, you know, to be honest, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Richardson's a good player, but there's a reason why we went and got Weaver from Coventry. You know, and you mentioned a little bit there about how many minutes he's played. He's only played the minutes that he's played this season due to injury.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we've unfortunately put him in the predicament that he was in Coventry, where he had to play too many minutes. But Weaver, when he's playing the right minutes, is still one of the best British players in this league, because there's not many players, and I'm going to include imports in that, then can pick a pass like Weaver, and that's hard to replace. Do you go and get somebody like Richardson? You're going to have to go and get somebody. You're going to have to go and say, right, we need somebody, because that's a big hole to replace.
Paul?
I can honestly see us going bringing a kid in. You know, not necessarily as, because we all know Corey says time and time again he doesn't replace people. You know, he fits people into a jigsaw, and I think what he's got to look at is the way that Tom Norton's come on this season. You know, he's come on in leaps and bounds, right? You know, to the point last weekend where he was actually directing the imports on the ice. You know, in the way that we saw Werner do so many times, especially last season. And you know, he's come on leaps and bounds. Is he the next Jonathan Weaver? I'm not saying he is, but you've got to look with him. If we can hang on to him, hang on to Steve Lee, and I think that we will then be looking at going for 4 import defencemen, like we possibly should have done this year, where we free that other import slot up from is up for him to decide. We've had conversations about that in the past, but. I mean, looking around, I don't know who you would replace him with. Richardson's. I mean, he's a lot better than when he played for. He's a lot better player than when he played for us. And of course, he was injured then.
And of course, it was Corey Nielsen who actually turned him into a defenceman anyway from the forward.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you don't replace somebody like Jonathan Weaver unless you're very, very, very lucky. You find new ways to fill the role.
Sorry, because you don't just lose the defenseman there, you lose somebody that is 9 times out of 10. You lose a hockey brain, but you lose somebody that 9 times out of 10 is on your first power play shift.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're losing a specialist player there.
And you lose somebody who's used to winning things and winning trophies, and you know that has an effect on the team.
Mentality as well, yeah.
And you talk about Norton coming on leaps and bounds, and you know you could even bring Stevie Lee into that. You have to have a Jonathan Weaver who's got the experience to coach and to help these players on the ice. You know, because for as much and off the ice, and you look to the imports, but you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure that you know if we spoke to Tom Norton, Weaver is somebody that he probably looked up to when he was you know playing and stuff, and probably still does now, to be honest, because Weaver is a legend of the game. You know, that's not an understatement, really. So it's just, I don't, you know, like Paul said, you don't replace somebody like that. You just try and find a new system and a new person to fit the mould that you're going to have to go in with.
Unless, of course, Steve Cooper's still available.
I think he's a bit past it now. But I mean, I wouldn't.
See, I'd have just said he'd retired. I wasn't.
He hasn't
past it. Steve.
You know what? I still wouldn't be surprised to see Danny Myers back playing here, probably left field, but it would not shock me in the slightest.
What, the new heavyweight champion of the Elite League?
Apparently so. Apparently so.
It's more left field than a left field term.
That one didn't make the list of hot topics, did it?
No, it certainly didn't. Okay, well, as ever, thanks for sending.
I'll give you a tenner if Danny Myers ends up back here. That's how confident.
Danny, you can have half. I think we'll leave it there for this week. As ever, thanks for sending your tweets in with hot topics. Please keep them coming in. Looking ahead to some of next week's games now, we'll cover the Challenge Cup semi-final very briefly, as this will be out pretty much on the day of the game. So, Sheffield, Nottingham, first leg Challenge Cup semi-final prediction.
Close, Panthers win.
Paul?
Sheffield win.
And I think a Sheffield win by a goal. So 1 goal coming into the NIC. Of course, big weekend this weekend as the league leaders come to town for a double header. 7 o'clock face off on Saturday, 4 o'clock face off on Sunday. Belfast, unbelievable form at the minute. They haven't lost a game in regulation since we beat them 8-3 on the 3rd of December, and they've lost only 1 game in overtime since then, which was a home loss to Dundee at the beginning of January. So I think I counted 19 games since the loss in Nottingham. And
cake then, isn't it?
I personally think it will be split. I think there'll be a game each. I'm not saying whether there'll be overtime or not. I don't know. But I just think it'll be a split series.
I agree with you, to be honest. I don't think. Sorry, Belfast fans, but I don't think you'll be winning the league in our arena this year. I think they're going to be. I think there'll be good hockey games there. Actually, there's a bit of respect there between two teams. You know, Belfast, they can give everything, can't they? At the end of the day, a bit like we were in the same situation last year.
Absolutely.
You know, on that first game, I know it's a little bit different because, you know, if we won the first game last year, then we'd won the league. It's not like that this year for Belfast, but they can go into this weekend going, look, you give everything this weekend, lads, because realistically, if they lose both these games, they're still going to win. They're still going to win it next weekend anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's about how much Belfast want to win it in our arena, and it's about how much our lads don't want to let them win it in our arena. And I've got a funny feeling that, you know, we're not going to let that happen. So I think, look, you have to say a quality Belfast team, and I'd agree with what you say and go a split weekend.
I mean, the consistency that Belfast have shown this season has been absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah, you know, they're not that far ahead for no reason. And I think a lot of it depends on which Panthers team turns up on, you know, Saturday and Sunday. If we get the team that played against Sheffield, who knows, we've got a chance. If we get the team that played against Hull, then I don't think we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think poor lady deserves all the credit that's coming this way, because not only has he managed to create a winning team, he's created an incredibly entertaining team to watch as well.
And look, we all want to be entertained at the end of the day. That's what a few people will tell you. It's about entertainment. And I think after the Doug years, some Belfast fans would be very happy about a bit of entertainment in the Odyssey. I don't know, Doug's hockey might be entertaining to some people, it's not to me, but there you go. So, you know, Adie's brought in a style of hockey which is completely different to what they're used to, and that's, you know, when you get freshness, it brings a smile on people's faces. But they have got some unbelievable players there, you know, and they've got a squad. You know, they've got their flair players, you know, they've got their warlords, and they've got people that'll back, you know, all of them up in like players like Adam Keefe. You know, they've got every type of player in a way, and you know, they've got a quality netminder, and you know, that's probably what it's going to come down to. You know, is Murphy going to have a better night than K-Wall, or is K-Wall going to have a better night than Murphy? That's the small little details that it'll come down to.
I think a lot of credit, as we said, a lot of credit to poor lady, but he obviously he left here not in a bit of a cloud. It has to be said, when he was coach of the Panthers, he was. I don't think he probably got the respect or the credit he really might have deserved. He's gone away. He's gone to Italy. He's built himself up as a coach, and he comes back to Belfast and just completely storms the league. And I think fair play to him, because that takes a lot of guts on his part.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, it's just a job, and he's, you know, it's the experience that he's got now that they're reaping the benefits from. You know, it's something he didn't have when you know, when he coached us, and you know, there was he did leave under a bit of a cloud. There were things that were said at the time that I think. But one of the things that's interesting is that although we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, a lot of this Belfast team were actually signed before he was. I mean, maybe or we were told he was. I mean, some of them were signed before Doug had actually run out the door. But you know, he has done an incredible job, and you know, fair play to him.
Okay, just quickly pick out another couple of games that interest you coming up over the weekend.
Are there any other games this weekend?
Well, we're looking at the fixture list there. Yeah, there's quite a lot. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, let's have a quick look down the fixtures. Coventry Blaze on the Sunday. I mean, that's if I were Brayhead, I'd be going into that, you know, feeling quite confident.
I don't know, because you've got Fife Brayhead on Saturday night, and the form Fife are in, and I know Brayhead are in good form. That could be a bit of a cracker. I think that'll be one to watch out for.
The thing is, you know, you travel down to Coventry. Coventry's not had a great, you know, few weeks, as we've been discussing. There's an opportunity to go into the Sky Dome, which, you know, can be intimidating, and take 2 points off. You know, that's a good opportunity.
What were you pointing at?
Cardiff Sheffield.
I'll pick Cardiff Sheffield.
Yeah, well,
yeah. That's yeah. Well, you know, but that is on a Sunday, and we know Sheffield don't always do that well on Sundays.
Well, they won last night 5-1. Lost on Saturday. Maybe it's Saturday night that's a bad night now.
Yeah, well, better ask Jeff Legui, hadn't you? Hey, don't do you the one making songs up about it?
Well, that's true. I was surprised.
Don't make jokes about that, because he'll probably come back and bite us.
Well, he's going to do that anyway, isn't he? Yeah.
I mean, look, you know, Cardiff Coventry on the Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's another rival. That's another rivalry that's built up over the years. They certainly don't like each other. And,
Coventry need to win games.
Yeah, and I think Cardiff, the form they're in, they should go into that game very, very confident.
Oh well, yeah, 7 on a bounce. You're always going to be confident, aren't you?
Exactly.
But.
Okay, well, we will leave it there. Thanks again, as ever, for watching the show. We will be back next week. See you then.